Hostile suspect down! I got one. He's down.
Suspect's moving in a stolen vehicle.
That's the sound of the police! That's the sound of the police! That's the sound of the police!
That is indeed the sound of the police. I am Josh Harmon, EGM Associate Editor, and I am joined by Chris Holsworth, News Editor.
Hi, Josh.
And today we are talking Battlefield Hardline.
Is that what I'm looking at?
You are looking at the hard line between cops and criminals and the dangerous men who walk along it.
I thought this was a documentary you filmed that time you drove to Las Vegas. It looks so realistic.
That is how I usually drive.
Yeah, you're just awful at navigation, too. I mean, Siri is partially to blame, of course, but...
She says turn left, I turn left. No, but seriously, recently flew up, I did, to San Francisco, to the Visceral Games Studios, to take a look at the content that's going to be in the beta, available, I guess, tomorrow, by the time you see this, which means the Super Bowl will have happened. Congratulations to the victors of that match, and I thought that it was surprising that they went on a murder spree after they won the game.
I can't believe that one play that astounded everyone and got everyone to rise out of their chairs.
So yes, obviously we're recording this a little bit in advance, but the beta will be launching on February 3rd.
Are you going to blow that chair up?
You're
just going to mutilate this chair.
Okay, so obviously this is Conquest mode, if you're familiar with Battlefield, the 5 capture point. This is the first time I think they've actually shown it in Hardline. It's nothing new, but this is also one of the new maps that's going to be in the beta. It's called Dust Bowl.
So this in the map 2 is happening before the Super Bowl, and you're trying to take control of a living room with a nice couch to make sure that your team gets to watch the Super Bowl.
In my defense, I'm not that
in
impressive.
a really tiny
I'm not
CRTV.
But this is my first time on the maps, so I don't know them super well. So cut me a little slack, Chris.
What's the why is the guy wearing a onesie in the bottom right corner?
Who is the guy wearing a onesie?
It passed now. There was a man who had like a red emergency onesie. Like it was like a full body underwear situation.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Oh well, we'll come back. Maybe it'll turn up again.
So I wanted to show all 3 of the modes and all 3 of the maps that are going to be in the beta. I got to play a few matches of each of the modes on each of the maps. And so what I did is I basically condensed down each section to make me look good. So you're going to notice a few jumps here and there, but these are all from one single match. You're going to see, get kind of the full experience, because there's a lot of times like this when I'm just running around and I have no idea what's going on, and I wanted to kind of minimize that. So I really think it's surprising how different Hardline feels. I will say I did not play the original beta.
The one in which everyone was like, this is just a mod for...
Yeah.
See, I'm not imagining this, right? There is a man in red underwear.
Oh, that's showing you where you got killed.
In the body every
I was
time.
shot in... Yeah, because nobody gets headshots at press events. We're all terrible.
But yeah, so the beta, I didn't play it either. But it was
and this is a sign of how classic a Battlefield experience it was. I spawned into a helicopter, which immediately plunged into the ground.
I mean, I guess the game is forgiving enough to let you not have savagely ripped your head off of your shoulders.
It did not explode upon landing. No, but one of the big things playing Conquest, compared to playing Conquest or Rush in the earlier Battlefield games, is that it really didn't feel like it was taking me very long to get into the action. And I know that they have said that they actually increased the running speed. And I
mean, it seems like you're moving a lot faster.
And then if you have your pistol out, you move even faster. So it's a bit more of a get in the action quickly. The maps aren't quite as big. This was, I would say, by far... Well, it was the only one I played large Conquest on, 64-player Conquest.
That's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people. But it's not new. I mean, I guess it's a lot of people for like a police raid on a drug town.
I mean, it seems like on both sides of the equation, perhaps the 2 warring factions, I guess cops and robbers, maybe overhired.
Yeah, they were planning on something pretty big. What I just did there is actually one of my favorite things. Is the taser is a one-hit KO, but it's got a very short range. If you saw there, I shot it and I was too far away and it didn't go in. But then after you tase somebody, you can interrogate them and it will show you if there are any enemies nearby.
Interesting.
It's a kind of a new mechanic, but it makes it much more gun-centric, and that's the other thing. Like, vehicles play a very different role in Hardline from what I've noticed. It's not like, oh, there's a tank, I'm going to have to run and hide from it. Usually, there are some vehicles that are bulletproof, but usually you're just going to be, oh, that's a guy, I can shoot him out of the driver's seat. Helicopters are kind of a big deal, but you don't have anything like jets. You don't have, like, huge vehicles that you feel under-equipped for. And the interesting thing is that, kind of in response to that, and in response to feedback to the beta, they actually tweaked what weapons the different classes have. I'm playing the engineer equivalent, it's the mechanic, and I guess in the beta they had like full-on launchers for like rockets, shoulder-mounted tracking stuff. To
Standard police operating.
Yeah, obviously, and a lot of people
especially out on the West Coast, it's just you can't send like a traffic cop can't.
Well, there was that time when they launched the RPG at Rodney King, and then there were riots for weeks.
And he was just parked more than a foot off the curb. It was kind of perhaps an irrational response.
Very, very irrational. But so they took away the launchers from the engineer class. He still has a grenade launcher that you can use, but it's not like I'm going to take out a vehicle in one hit. And what they did is they put those, and then they also put heavy machine guns into the map, so you'll find them around. I never actually picked one up, but I was looking through the footage, and in a few minutes you'll actually be able to see the kind of crates that they come in. In retrospect, I probably should have picked it up and killed everyone.
I mean, I'm happy to see watching this, and I admit that my personal FaceTime with Battlefield 4 was extremely limited. I think I managed to get like 2 multiplayer sessions in before I just couldn't deal with how much time it took for me to get from one end of the map to the other where everything was happening. Would you say the maps have been scaled? I mean, like, it's 64.
This is the equivalent of about, if you look when I go into respawn here, you can see that compared to a traditional Battlefield map, the different spawn points, the capture points, are relatively close together.
There's a cluster going on, yeah.
And that means that if anyone is in the action on your team, and you're not pushed all the way back to your base, you can really, everything is basically within eye shot of everything else, which would, I'd say, makes it about a medium-sized map for the Battlefield franchise.
Now, is this an abandoned town, or did you just kill all the low socioeconomic people who were just coming out for vacation?
I mean, it's called Jode, so that's a John Steinbeck reference. A little Grapes of Wrath action going on there. And
Fitzgerald's always rubbing our face and how literate they are.
I know. So obviously that was a cut there. I didn't teleport across the room. I just happened to come back to the same place later. But this is what I really wanted to show you is the one Levolution moment on this map is, you'll see it in a second.
Will this also be the one time you ever say Levolution?
I really don't want to keep saying it. But it's actually really cool. I like it a lot more than any of the ones that were in Battlefield 4 because it changes things in a much more subtle but also global way. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to look out. You see that dust storm off in the distance? I know your eyesight's bad. You might not be able to see it. It might look like a large dinosaur.
That's not like the sand coming to give you a hug.
No, so
it's a little more malicious than that.
At the
what about that alien beam that's trying to raise people?
That's the capture point.
Yeah, that's exactly.
No, so at the 15-minute mark, this thing starts rolling in, and it just wrecks visibility at range. And it's I think the winds actually might have an impact too, because if you see there, that helicopter
looks like it's struggling.
Just struggled.
I would say, do you take any damage? I guess that'd be slightly unfair.
If you were just taking damage,
you would be like taking like incremental mouse.
No. But I mean, this is running on PC. If you didn't notice the mouse cursor, and it looks really good. I was impressed by this dust storm. It actually makes it so that at the end of the map, and that's the crate I just walked by. Yeah, look at those trees just going at it. So I mean, and again, there's the crate with the launcher that I probably could have used to kill people, but I just keep walking by it and not seeing it, and then dying.
Is there a different feel to the weapons in Battlefield Hardline than there is Battlefield 4? There's a weight I want to describe for lack of a better term.
The thing is, it's been about since launch day that I played Battlefield 4. And the other thing is, I played Battlefield 4 on console. I haven't played a Battlefield on PC since Bad Company 2. So I don't actually know. I know that with a keyboard and mouse, it did feel really good. As you can see here, I just failed at reviving that guy. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
So you're not Lazarus.
Maybe I'm doing it wrong. But I switched to Medic midway through the match to try and
Are you trying to save that man's life by throwing a grenade at him?
No, I was trying to end his life.
You're just pretty much failing your Hippocratic Oath then.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure they don't like saddle hospital workers.
You're not actually called a medic.
Oh, okay.
In the game anymore. You're called a operator which, okay, so obviously that round ended. My team was victorious. And we're moving into one of the modes that was in the beta, but has been slightly tweaked, and it's coming back, and a new map. The mode is called Heist. Right now I'm playing a cop. We have to protect the bank vault.
I see that this is the bank from that Batman movie.
No, it actually... This is one of the coolest maps, I think. It's got... Because of the way Heist works, is they have to go into a location, get the goods, and then take them to drop points. The change that they made is now they have to wait at the drop points for a helicopter to show up, so it's not just like grab it and run and you've already won. But this map is really, really good for this because the objective that they have to get stuff out of...
Would you say this map is hot?
Is a...
Because it looks right now like just smoldering.
It is smoldering. Like
no, I joke, but it looks neat architecturally.
I can't figure out how to open this door. Sometimes it's open,
Handles.
sometimes it's not.
I'm getting a good Payday vibe off of it.
It's true, and you actually have, in this map, they go to the vault, they set up a drill. It takes
and then
like
the
30
four guys
seconds.
from Payday are already there, and they're like, this is awkward.
It's much shorter in terms of breaking into the vault. But what it does do is it centralizes the activity in this building for the beginning, because everybody like converges on the objective, and then they try and run with it, and it kind of spirals outwards from there. You'll see in a second it's gonna jump outside, and it's a very different feel.
I just want to point out how much I really enjoyed the concussive explosion that happened a few seconds ago. The way like the door flew off. Like it was very
it's
very cool.
It's not quite as big as some of the destruction.
Like
that
this
we've
is
seen
by
in
far
Battlefield
more than anything. I mean, again, I always lean more towards urban settings than I do kind of open areas. But this is really impressing me and kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, like skyscrapers aren't like falling over.
I mean,
it's
like
not the hugest destruction Battlefield's ever seen, but it really does. I think it kind of fits the smaller scale of it a bit.
And that's the important part. Battlefield Hardline isn't. It shouldn't be trying to be a Battlefield game in terms of its scale.
This is true. I mean, the crane does fall over on the downtown map, but this is I really dug this game mode. I like the kind of one flag CTF, as you can see here. If you stand by it, you can recover it, send it back to the vault, and then the whole chase has to start over again. But I think
that's exactly how heists work.
I think the addition of having to have them like camp out with the bag really does make the pacing of this just solid. And I love this tear gas effect. I think it's just fantastic.
I mean, I could maybe live without the characters announcing what is obvious.
Yeah, that is one of the things, if you listen closely, the characters will announce everything they do. They will be like, oh, I killed a guy, I killed another guy. They're, for lack of a better word, talky cops. I think, personally, though, one of the most interesting things about what they've done for, like, team play is you can throw down ammo and you can throw down health packs and that stuff. But now, if somebody's new to the game and they play the operator medic class and they don't know that they can throw down health packs and you're in the same room as them, you don't have to yell at them over chat. You can just walk up to them and press a button and you'll like steal health from them, essentially. So, I mean, there's just a lot of streamlining stuff.
No, when the game has as many players as Battlefield can have, you really can't rely on people being
that's true. And they seem to kind of be more designing around that instead of... In the past, Battlefield was always a game where you had to use teamwork to succeed, and if you didn't, like, if your team couldn't put 3 men in a helicopter and roll in and assault the base and rush, you weren't going to destroy the MCOMs. But in this, it seems more like they're designing around the way people actually play multiplayer games in subtle but pretty effective ways. And I think one of the things is the objectives being mobile. You see it in Heist, and you're going to see it in a second in the other mode, Hotwire. But you use a lot more of the map when you're not just focused on these central points. And I think that's an interesting little change of pace. I'm digging this more than I ever dug Battlefield 4. And that might just be because I haven't played Battlefield Hardline against real people yet, and I've only played it against journalists who, like me, were struggling to figure out how to play the game. But it's a pretty tight experience so far. I think probably Hotwire, which we'll see in a minute, is my biggest misgiving But that's just one mode.
Yeah, it didn't win me over when I played it at
Gamescom.
last summer. I found it to be kind of a whole lot of either me running toward a target and nothing happening, or me getting in a car and nothing happening. There wasn't enough engagement.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, and we'll see in a second that.
And it feels like
there
it's a
is
good
some of
idea
that
conceptually,
down.
but I guess when they first announced that mode, I imagined it was just literally like almost a racing game, like just you and the other opponent going down a road, not
Yeah, I mean,
Battlefield.
I don't want to get into it too much until we can actually show you what we're talking about, but which is right now, because I believe that I heroically died just as we're winning the match.
You did that thing where you
pyrrhic
jumped on the
victory.
grenade.
Yeah, and saved no one's lives. That is actually an interesting. Why doesn't any first-person shooter allow you to sacrifice yourself for the team?
That'd be an interesting thing, because you see the indicator in a lot of first-person shooters, like the grenade is right here. There should be like a press F to be like,
No, I saved you.
to Captain America.
Okay, so this
It was just a test.
This is Hotwire, which we talked about on Downtown.
The same map as last time.
The same map as the beta, if you're familiar. This is the Downtown LA map with the crane. And what we're going to see right here is one of the most important lessons of
You getting Shook Knighted.
of Hotwire is that
In which a crazy person ran you over backwards.
this is true. That's one of the most important lessons of Hotwire is that if you are on your feet, you're probably going to get run over.
It's also an important lesson in Fast and Furious,
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I don't like about Hotwire.
in which you're playing a Terminator.
Yeah, no, it has so much potential for cool moments like that. But something I really think they need to fix is I want more field of view when I'm in the passenger seat, because it's really frustrating to have to like aim in a certain direction and then not be able to hit somebody.
No, you
until
should have
get
the
out.
edges of your vision, be able to see to the left and right so you can catch something in the corner of your eye.
Yeah, it's a silly request. And then the other thing is, obviously, as you're about to see, it's not terribly thrilling when you're the one driving, because usually you're just doing laps around a map and nobody really sees you. This is going to be pretty boring footage.
Well,
for
do you
a
want
while.
to like quick catch up anybody who's not familiar with the purpose of the mode?
Oh, well, Hotwire is essentially, it works like Conquest in that there are capture points, but all those points are vehicles. So it's your objective to kind of bum rush the vehicles at the beginning, and then try and drive them fast enough to fill up your little speed bar there. And every time, all the time that you keep it up, it will drain the tickets from the other team, just like if you hold a capture point in Conquest.
And this is what I meant when I say, like, I think it's interesting to take a vehicle and keep it away from someone, but you can't have
Well, the
a
problem
map
is
in
that,
which there might be a slice of it, a quadrant of it that nobody's paying attention to, and you can just kind
Yeah.
of do laps around.
and the other problem that I see with it conceptually is you're really just doing circles. That's the most effective way to do anything, is to just do circles. And it sucks because you think of a high-speed chase and there's like a sense of progress. And
No,
if you go
it seems like it's
in-
down a linear path,
Yeah.
basically. It's a long stretch of highway with a lot of obstacles.
And you could turn, but you're not basically just going in the same area where you committed the crime, so to speak. And there's a lot of sections like this
Where you just
where
can't
if I'm not
make
paying
out.
attention to the
Oh, I
minimap,
see there's a little blue line.
there's a little blue line. But if I'm focusing on driving or shooting,
they
and not
could have
paying
created
attention to the minimap.
like rubble or whatever to
Yeah.
rein you in from it.
Yeah, so there are several times when I'll actually drive outside of the boundary of the map, which stops like all of my momentum, and I have to stop and drive over again. And I know, yeah, that's my fault for not paying attention, but at the same time, if I'm in a car chase, I should probably be looking at the road and the cops that are following me and the people with guns, and not my Garmin GPS.
Your Ralph Garmin GPS.
My Ralph Garmin GPS.
It's really annoying GPS. So you only played the 3 modes, correct?
You only play the 3 modes. We did some variations, like I played Hotwire on Dust Bowl as well, which honestly was even more boring than Downtown. There was a round of Hotwire on Dust Bowl where I legitimately spent 5 minutes and nothing happened to me. I was just driving in circles. I didn't die. The vehicle didn't explode. I was just driving around without stopping for 5 minutes, which is not a thrilling multiplayer experience. Then again, this is the first time that I'm sure a lot of the people I was playing with had actually gone hands-on with the mode, so maybe they weren't totally in line with what the objectives were. They weren't chasing down the objectives very well.
And a great many of them might prefer a controller over a keyboard. There's a lot of variables in play here.
It's true.
Would you say we viewed the modes as you prefer them from what you played? So Conquest on top or Heist mode? Which one do you prefer?
I think the rejiggered Heist is probably my favorite. Conquest
seems
is
more
fun
exciting.
as like an old standby.
Like
I'm always going to enjoy Conquest.
everyone is familiar with this basic concept, whereas Heist at least shakes it up a little.
Yeah, I mean, like I had just as much fun running the bag, which I unfortunately didn't have time to show you today, as I did trying to stop people from grabbing it. It really is that kind of organic teamwork where you don't have to communicate, because that's the thing. All of these matches, nobody communicated anything. There was nobody talking to one another. It was just we were all lone wolfing it. So it's probably a pretty good approximation of how it'll be when you actually play. One thing I did want to touch on before we finish is they have brought Commander mode back from Battlefield 4. I don't have any footage of that. I recorded it, but then I realized it's just this. It's just looking at this map as you click
the
stuff.
least exciting visual.
It's not really exciting to see. They have renamed it to Hacker mode because you have a bit more of direct control over the map. On
Like,
Heist,
are you switching lights at intersections, maybe?
you're not switching lights at intersections. It's not that game I've already forgotten about because it was so boring. Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs. I would have also accepted Live Free or Die Hard.
Live Free or Die Watch Dogs. You can hack into cameras to see what the camera sees. You can hack, again, all of this is from that top-down map perspective. You can hack gas jets that shoot poison gas at people. I'm not sure why those are installed in the building. It seems like a public health risk. But on
always
modes
gotta
like,
be ready in case your Nazi overlords come back to power, I guess.
It's true. It's true. But on modes like Heist, it seems to work really well.
That guy made a bad decision.
He did make a bad decision, and he just got flattened for it.
Is he flattened? I thought you maybe perhaps launched him to the moon.
Maybe I launched him to the moon. This guy, that riot shield's not going to stop a car. That was totally worth it to just drive out of the bounds of the map. So yeah, hacker mode seems okay. It's still not the most engaging thing in the world, but since you can throw down those radars like you did in Battlefield 4, it's pretty much useful to be able to do. And that about wraps it up for our time here. Thanks for being with me, Chris, and we will leave you here to listen to the rockin' sounds of victory.